What's going on, everyone? My name is Max. I'm here with the founder of Luxo, Fabian, and this is our third part docuseries that we're going to go into sort of the personal side of Fabian, learn all about him, check out a little bit of Berlin, and we're gonna dive into maybe the Illuminati. That's somewhere here in Berlin that's been inspiring Luxo. Who knows?
That's cool, man. You would never know if they would be true, right?
Exactly. So, where are we right now? This is
us driving out of the office. New York had this also in the I think 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It was really run down, and then the culture came in.
Yeah.
And then Manhattan became cool. And Berlin is the same way. Almost like a timeless space in the 90s where the wall came down and there was this void, and that void, specifically in East Berlin, was filled by the punks, the artists, and specifically the techno culture. Just the fact that people do literally what they want, and it's kind of like a almost rule-free. Germans are very rule-based, but somehow it feels like a rule-free society because you can do pretty much anything. I mean, that makes it just also such a unique space. And when you think about culture, and creators, I guess this is the perfect birthplace for Luxo. Ethereum was pretty much not born in I mean, it was born from Vitalik, but literally the tech team of Ethereum was mainly in Berlin.
Right.
So in fact, Ethereum is coming from Berlin too. I mean,
Right.
I would totally say so. The most developers and the Ethereum hub was here in Berlin. Same with Polkadot, It's a unique spot that somehow, attracted the infrastructure people and the people who want to, change the foundations. And even like a lot of the CK teams and so on, this is like very much based or connected to Berlin in some way. Blockchain and this whole development always has been a global thing, right?
Right.
You have teams all over the place. In fact, the Luxo team, sits pretty much all over the place. I mean, lots of people in Europe. We have people in Poland and in France and the UK, even in Moldavia, and had people in Russia, all over the place really. Like we have people in the US, in Canada. First off, remote work will not go away. And when we even have better ways to connect and pay each other and, create communities and collaborate, remote work will be essential. And if you tie this in with VR,
Right.
then you have the ability to say, okay, you can just literally work remotely while being in the same room. In fact, there's already apps. You can literally be in kind of like a co-working coffee place, working on your computer, see your screens, and you can actually chat with the guy next to you on the couch. The biggest thing which holds this back is the weight and the convenience of the headsets. If that gets lighter and has the kind of resolution that we're already seeing with the Vision Pro, it's an absolute thing. It's going to be a default for many people. Personally, what I would like to see is fully decentralized, rendered and computed, fully stateful virtual worlds, where then Luxo is maybe the place where your account lives and certain of your assets live. So It's an integrational part in that future metaverse. But that future metaverse needs more, right? It needs the decentralized computing of the 3D world. It needs to have the statefulness. That means if you throw a stone in a virtual world and you come back a year later and it's still there. So whatever people do and modify and change in that place changes forever for everyone. So once we have these things, and I can see Luxo playing a very large part in that, it's going to be really fun. Because then you can live in a virtual world, you can create economies in there, you can literally participate, you can form together and be in these kind of like virtual spaces that will feel lifelike.
I mean, and UPs is probably the perfect starting point of this.
It's the perfect foundation. Because it is the account that you take with you. And it's an account that can live in such spaces. In fact, the way how Universal Profiles are already built is that you could have a VR game and you authorize this VR game to use your profile, not to have another wallet in there, to use your profile and act as you in the game with some limitations so they don't steal your stuff. That's a game changer for metaverse use cases.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with like VR, for example. The thing is, people need to understand it's not us building everything.
Right.
We build a standard-based system. Anybody can build it. It's already possible. Universal Profiles, the key manager, and all of these things and how it works, anybody could come and build it. It doesn't need to be us. The thing is nobody needs to ask us to build, this stuff. In fact, there's an Unreal Engine plugin that allows you to interact with smart contract and supports Luxo. You can easily interact with, a universal profile from in there. Just generate a key, ask the user to authorize that key, and make transactions through the profile. And you're the profile in the game. Welcome to my little home.
So, how long you been living in this place?
Actually, since 2016. It totally evolved. When I overtook the place for myself, it became a lot more, like the warm place that it is now. I mean, the beautiful thing is you get to have the Berlin TV tower, and you have big windows, you have light.
Yeah.
And it's my little, chamber of peace.
Little man cave.
No, it's not a cave, dude. Look at this. This doesn't look like
a man.
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
That's the
temple.
This is the temple. Exactly. That's why we now use temple sound.
So you were telling me these are like your current reads.
That's the I want to get to it current reads.
Okay.
In fact, there's a lot of books about Ethereum that where there's a story about the early days in the DAO where I'm in there, but I just never read them. I don't have really the time is missing. And here's the plurality book. I want to read that. I mean, I have read a little bit in that. That's definitely cool because it very much ties into what's happening at Luxo.
Yeah.
But you also want to probably read about the Akashic field.
Oh, so is this exactly where Luxo probably came from? The idea, I guess.
It was transported by the Akashic record and the morphic field right into here.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone watching that doesn't even know what this is.
I mean, I don't know exactly what he means with the Akashic field, but the idea of the morphic field is basically that all thought and all knowledge is like gathered in a field rather than in our brains physically. It's you could call it the ether, where Ethereum comes from. So if you actually think about the fact, like a blockchain is a little bit like this place of information where every action and everything that ever happened is stored. And it's like that place that you can go reference and see what's happening. A little bit like a karmic record as well, right? When we were looking at the internet before, it was always about we were able to communicate and exchange information. And now with blockchain, we have that morphic field, the Akashic record of the world. Because now when people do things, it's enshrined in that, shared history, in that shared ledger, in this distributed ledger, Yeah. So, morphic fields, Akashic records is very fitting to blockchain, and it really is the place that allows us to create reputation and form groups in a way where we know it's not depending on a third party, on the benevolent system that might disappear or might disallow things. It's on this shared record system that we know we can trust just because it's decentralized. I got also a lot of old books recently. Because the old knowledge from the Greeks, you have that too, right? Fun fact, I bought it in English, even though I'm German.
You usually read your books in German, I'm guessing.
No, actually, most of the books I buy is in English. But I mean, the biggest problem with books is I don't really have time. Without time, I can't read.
Right.
So they are bought for the times when I have time, But let's check here. Let's check out my study, because my study people have seen, because a lot of calls that I take, they are from my study.
Where do you get your, best ideas? Is it like sitting down? Is it in between reading? Is it while you're producing music? Where's the?
I mean,
that space where you find
that space I would like to have. Actually, most of the ideas I get when I explain things and when I talk to people. That's when I get the ideas.
Right.
I do need more space to actually just sit and do nothing and get it. I mean, I do meditate and I do try to incorporate it more in my life.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much going on. But that headspace I would like to have more, because there's just so many ideas I have. But, when you are the mass orchestrator of all of these things, it's just like we have less time to have those kind of more transcendent thoughts. Yeah. Though what we are building now and what we have been building the last few years, this is all thoughts and things that literally came to me years ago. So It's just about the refinement of those ideas. It's my little achievement section. No,
Luxo white papers.
Luxo white paper achievement. I wrote a
Building single
book.
page. Wow.
I got here from Yaman the LSP9 Vault. That is Marjorie's master thesis. She made these blocks. The validator, the Luxo validator. What's really, really interesting here is this.
News aggregator.
This is my master thesis.
Right.
And the idea of this was to create a platform that allows you to, look at what's happening in the world, and instead of kind of like getting, just one website and another website, the idea was to create a news aggregator. And the idea is that you basically see about a certain topic the different kind of more extreme perspectives, because when you see that there's different opinions, you will better learn how to read your own opinion and understand what do you think it could be if there's so extreme counter opinions, right? But if you see both sides and you look a bit more behind the curtain, you realize, okay, everything is a bit more gray than black and white. So, I mean, in a way, this ties into Luxo too, because, that's what can be built now. And I would like to see actually independent journalism that, can rely, you can have DAOs, that are journalistic based. You can form media groups that are, independent. So I'm very much looking forward to those kind of use cases, because when you have a blockchain-based account, now you can make a verifiable journalist account that can sign its messages, that can sign the content he creates, the videos he records, the photos he takes. Now they can actually be funded independently and not just through advertisement, and the news organization they're in. It changes everything. So I would love to see these kind of things built. Hence why actually I put this on Twitter as a PDF. So if anybody wants to take this on, here it is.
Open source this.
It's free. Go use the idea. When I heard about Bitcoin and blockchain, and I realized, okay, this is like foundational tech where we can now build systems that align people, where we can build now incentive systems that align people, where the system itself doesn't need to be trusted anymore because of the amount of people that run it. The chance that it changes is very low, because you would need to convince a lot of people to change it. So hence it's likely not changing. And if you then on the end have a programmable blockchain like Ethereum, now you can literally build and invent anything. So now we can do things that really allow for a new form of journalism and a new form of, governance, and DAOs and a whole different way of how we organize ourselves as humans.
There's some interesting books here in German.
This is the German alternative section.
Vast range of topics.
Karl May, you need to have Karl May, right? Karl May has been the cover story man.
What is that?
It was actually German, writing cowboy and Indian stories, I like the full-on cowboy kind of Winnetou thing. Innovation books. The Bazaar and the Cathedral, the ultimate open source book. Very early open source thinking.
That individual over there, is there a story there?
That is my brother here. But my brother, he's not here anymore. Actually, I have two brothers, but the one which is literally in the corner there. So this is both of my brothers. It was actually in Ethereum, and my brother's not with us anymore. He decided to leave this planet a year after this photo was taken.
Do you think he's watching you and he's proud of you?
Oh yeah, I think so. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and he's excited to see what you're even bringing along.
No, I think he's supporting very much. It's still something that I maybe have not fully processed.
Right. All right.
Or to some degree. And this all of this, happened, during when I worked at Ethereum, which was hyper busy, and then after this going into, like building Luxo, with Marjorie and all of this stuff, which is just was so much stress. There was not really time to, I guess, process that. Yeah. But I do believe that, we are not disappearing when we die. Energy is not, going away. So, I mean, even if we are not in this realm, I know we do exist, and he exists, for example, in other realms, and he's always there, So I do know that.
Can you feel his presence sometimes? Like,
I mean, I'm probably paying less attention in the recent years, but
yeah,
yeah, I was definitely feeling it. I mean, I'm not doing this for me, and I'm not doing this for fame. If I want to, pat myself on the shoulder because of something, I guess I
yeah,
could have. It has been a kind of journey to build this out, and it needs a new chain to make this happen because it's such a novel standard, and it needs so many more pieces to work. So it was like this mass orchestration to puzzle the thing together, and I always was driven by the strong feeling that I need to do this, that this has to exist,
yeah,
and that is the only interest I have. We never created this. I mean, at least I didn't create this for tokens or whatever, because we don't, even as founders, we don't even have a large amount of tokens,
right.
because we have not given, like other projects, give like 10 and 15%, to the team and
Yeah.
founders, whatnot.
How much do you own in this project?
Initially it was a 1%,
Right.
and because the total supply went down when the people started the chain, it shows 42 million, so it's a bit more than that. But
Yeah. Why did you choose to own less? Like, is
because I want to have a decentralized project,
right.
because I want this to be a true decentralized network.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're not building this for, I guess, monetary gain. It's more for
I
you
mean,
want to see
obviously
this.
it's great, like
Yeah.
if I can fund the team and if I can fund things from that, that would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is not my goal in life,
Hmm.
because, for, I mean, my life standards, I can already be fine, with just do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not, I mean, I don't need the arts or anything kind of crazy. So,
So this is a bigger purpose for you. This is
yeah.
much bigger
I
than.
wouldn't fucking take this whole like amount of
Yeah.
stress and work and and complaints and and concentration if it wouldn't be for
Yeah.
my life purpose.
Let's say retirement age comes along.
Retirement age.
You know,
I don't think I will have a
40
retirement age.
years in the future. I mean, yeah, I mean, would you ever retire? Is that something in your plans, or do you want to continue working and doing
I
things?
mean, if I feel that I, did what I needed to do, and there will be for sure a time in my life where I will be focusing more on myself and going more inwards rather than outwards. But I mean, I would definitely want to, like, I mean, this is the Seaboard Rise 2, which is a super awesome device because you can make some super cool sounds. You can literally create any kind of sound, and it's like more like an analog instrument, but it's fully digital. It's an
Super
MP
alien
machine.
looking, literally.
That's the future of input. No, I would like to have more time to make music. I would like to have more time to do a lot of more things, But at that point in time, it's about
Yeah.
the orchestration. And honestly, we are golden. Luxo
Yeah.
is at that point where the foundation is set.
Yeah.
And from now on, it's other people can build.
Mm.
And it's just about educating them. And it's just about showcasing.
Building the
And
tools.
building, obviously improving. There's a lot more things we can improve and add more. So this is a never-ending story.
We obviously have some VR headsets in here.
Actually, this is the only headset that kind of had a bit the resolution like the Vision Pro, but it's more like only in the center. I mean, the previous version of that was my first headset, the Black Vive Pro. No, the whatever, Vive 2, whatever it was. That's the Pimax where you have 260 degrees. And the only problem is all of them work via a cable. So, you have that cable, and I built a system where it runs over cable. I've been in VR since, I don't know what it is, 7-8 years now. I mean, the Quest 3 is the de facto standard. The Vision Pro is good for working. This is the Pimax, and this is, the HTC headset. It's a bit quirky. You can connect these headsets to a PC.
Right.
And then you can stream it to the PC, and you can basically play high res. That's why this is a little game room, right? You can put the chair in the center, and then or you use this as your floor, and you have like the, you know when you're walking out of bounds because you can feel it.
Do you see a world where most people are going to be living in those headsets versus
I mean,
the physical world?
there will be definitely a large portion of humanity who will live in those headsets in some way. Yeah. And that's a good and a bad thing, right? The good thing is it connects people, and now they can literally connect no matter where they are. They can even work together in the same environment wherever they are. The bad thing is, I mean, they probably also move more.
Yeah.
The bad thing is they might have get problems with their eyes.
Yeah.
Might stop eating. Every tool we have, it's like a tool, right? You can use it for good and you can use it for bad. A knife you can use to help and to do good things and to, just like put stuff on your bread and whatever. You can also kill. A universal profile, can be used for complete self-sovereignty and independence, probably also to track and trace, whatever. It can be used for good and bad because it's a tool that doesn't judge. VR can be, overused and you don't live in the real world anymore and never see the sun.
Yeah.
Or it can help you to connect while you live in a rural area and you still can connect, to community across the world and be part of that. It's what we make with these tools what matters, not the tools themselves. The tools themselves never have just one purpose.
Right.
And if they only have one purpose, they're probably not a good tool.
Right.
So they're not generic enough, right?
Right.
So it's a balance, right?
That's true. Almost people have their sort of alter ego in these social media accounts. I mean, where do you see that tying in with sort of universal profiles becoming like the go-to behind VR NFTs? I mean, think about like your digital sort of sweater. Yeah. I mean, your avatar. I mean, Luxo started off with fashion.
There was a lot of digital
Yeah.
fashion we had early on, because of the dematerialized and because of there was a lot of experimentation. I mean, that was also something that it's going to happen.
Right.
In the metaverse, you want to wear your things.
Yeah.
You want to wear custom things. You want to wear unique things. Also, you want to be in worlds that you can actually modify. I mean, I think it will be about stateful. Fully decentralized computed worlds. These are all pieces. There's so many pieces that are currently being developed, be it the digital fashion and the skins. The gamification in Web3 games is basically just incentive games. It's playing around with incentive games of how you make stuff work and how you get people to do things within a game environment where you can earn money even. All of these are plays, DeFi. These are all like experiments to play what works and what doesn't. And how can we do this at scale and it still is not hackable or cannot be gamified? And that are very, very, very important, learnings that we get from this. And then we can bring it to the next level, and hopefully that will be more the social level. But this needs the right foundation, and hence why universal profiles or a smart contract account that has the capability of universal profiles is essential in this piece. And the fact why many of these things haven't happened yet is because that piece was missing. That's the missing piece. Now people need to learn about it and understand what they can build with that. And it's going to be a lot more interesting, a lot more social, a lot more like fluid. The UX you can build now is just like unprecedented, better than Web 2 even. And then we can bring in all the other things that played in, that's really avatars, you need to standardize how this stuff works probably. The VR, still kind of in its infancy too. So when all of these things start to mature, then we can plug into an actually very interesting tool that, can be a new society. But that identity piece has been missing for a long time. And in fact, there were many projects that tried to create it, and even governments, the DID project and all of this stuff. And why it never happened, why it never took on. And my belief is because first they tried it the wrong way. They tried to make hard identity versus soft identity. Hard identity basically means it's your passport, it's your health data, it's the stuff you actually don't really want to put in public, right? You want to keep it for yourself and safe and don't lose it. That's not the stuff people want to play with. But they're very happy to play with your soft identity. It's just your gamer account, your online account, something you create to just see what you can do with it. Playful, right? And then on top of this, most of these systems, they just were not unbiased. They had a token involved. They had a custom system involved that tried to extract value from you in some way. And it was not an open and generic enough system. Universal Profiles is the first full-on standardized, open, unbiased smart contract account. And yes, there is a chain on which it sits, and that chain needs a token to work, right? That's the way how blockchain works. So there's that. But it works on any other chain too. But on Luxo, you get all the standards working together, all the tools, the transaction relay service, and all these things. Just like it's the network where this network effect around universal profiles can happen. And that you don't get on another chain, even though these standards would work there as well. You just don't have the network effect because they're all using ERC20. They're using outdated standards that are 7-year-old, right? And they can't change it because everybody already went with the old.
Yeah,
that's the good thing of a new chain, and that's the idea of Luxo. Be that experimentation ground for the new foundations. That without that, the space is not going to move anywhere. Honestly, we started doing this before the NFT hype. So we wrote our blueprint for the new creative economies, our white paper in 2019. That NFT wave and hype happened the year. So we knew this was coming. The Luxo network was not ready because there was no full proof of stake Ethereum yet, which I wanted to use. And we were initially considering starting as a proof of stake, and we really developed a lot in this direction. But I just realized we will never decentralize this way. It's not going to happen. Once you give people power over a certain network, they're not going to let go, right? So, and it was a bit of a coincidence because exactly at the time, then Ethereum had the beacon chain running. So then we were working on doing the execution and beacon chain combination. And then once they had it running, we were actually able to overtake the Ethereum development, which obviously has a lot more developers than us. With Luxo, it was never about making the better consensus. I rather just take the best, you know,
Right.
which is Ethereum.
Yeah.
And we innovate on another level. We innovate on the smart contract standards. And this is also, by the way, open source for everyone and free for every other chain to use for every community. So it is about creating the right foundation for everyone. I personally believe you want to pick your country if you want to do something, right? Because you want to be in a nice neighborhood and, you know, have cool streets and cool houses. So if you want to work with the new standards, you want to be on Luxo because that's the environment for that. You can still use universal profiles on any other chain, right? Eventually. I mean, we will open this up.
So it'd be outside of EVM as well, or
No
within
EVM. I mean, like anybody. So it's a standard, so anybody could bring that to any chain in any way, right? So this is completely open, but they have to do the work for that. So if they want that.
Do you see EVM evolving as well to a point where it actually is not going anywhere? It's only gonna just become better and better.
I mean, the thing is, there is better virtual machines.
Yeah.
There is better consensuses eventually. Right now, it's a battle between decentralization and scalability. If you want to have scalability, you're less decentralized. That's just a matter of how it is.
Right.
And if you want to have decentralization, it's slower, but you have more certainty that your stuff is yours. Your account is yours, your assets are yours, right? So the EVM and all of this will evolve. But, you know, if you look at the internet, JavaScript is not the best language. But every website is still built in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Right.
And that literally came kind of out of the 90s. So sure, there's more of this, you know, it's getting a little better. But same with, you know, EVM, there's more instructions, there's faster, there's precompiles, there's the things that make it better. So yeah, it's evolving, and it's evolving in a large community consensus, which is the Ethereum kind of, you know, research community. So it's a lot of brains and a lot of people thinking about this.
Right.
And I rather not compete on the consensus level. I'm not smart enough for that anyway. So I can contribute where I can contribute, and that's happened to be the standards level for whatever reason. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
happened to be there, you know.
That vision that you first started with, is that still intact, or is that also has moved around?
Universal profiles is year 7 to 5 account that I proposed in 2017.
Yeah.
Built out. It's the built out version of that early idea. It's a full-fledged out version. It hasn't deviated. It just has been refined.
And
It's like you have a rough thing that on the end, you know, you just like, you know, cut out until it's a perfectly, you know, cut crystal. When we really started adding the last few pieces and really improving, like making the detailed, you know, additions, and we added a few cool features to it before we really felt it's kind of final. We just got so many ideas of what you can build. Just the automations you can build on top of a profile, because you can now make your profile react on anything incoming in the most crazy automatic way, even then looping back into your profile and doing things, the extension stuff that you can build now.
Even
like,
the meta,
like the key manager, the way is how I'm verifying, and it's like mind blowing. I mean, even we can't even fully see all the possibilities of what you can do now with this stuff. It's that kind of flexible.
Right.
It's if you're smart enough to understand the standards in detail, it will be mind blowing. Like you will see the kind of stuff you can build now is kind of next level. I have not seen anything, you know, comparable, and there's nothing yet there. So.
And you've seen all the other blockchains, like they're not.
There's the early there's work, you know, on smart contract accounts, and it's on the end pretty much a similar approach. They name the functions different.
Yeah.
It's more or less the same when it ends up, but it's very early. So let's say it's kind of like 40% of what we have, because they're just really starting to think about the account.
Yeah, and you guys are already
I thought about this 2017 already, you know.
Yeah,
There's a lot of like years that went into thinking about this. So, But again, it's not about the competition. It's something where anybody can use. It's about like this is just a foundational standard that's for everyone.
And it's here on Luxo right now live.
It's here on Luxo right now live.
Yeah. And people have no clue about it.
And people have no clue about it. People also need to understand if you're a developer, even though there's a lot you can learn, making anything work that you have built for any EVM chain on Luxo is zero change. If you issue a token, you want to issue the new type of token. So you want to do, upgrade to LSP7 and LSP8. But just interacting with your browser extension, it's no change. It works the same like MetaMask works or any other wallet. That's the magic of smart contracts. You can abstract this away even from the developer. It's kind of magic that this goes so seamless. We are kind of like being trimmed in this way that the world is, bad and ending, and humanity is inherently like a difficult to manage, and we need to make these rules, and they're constantly fighting. The truth is, people do not want to fight. They don't want to make war. It's the people in power who make wars, making people believe that it's a natural phenomena, when it's not. It's completely artificially. Look at babies, they are by no means, mean. They want to play together. Sure, sometimes you have an annoying kid, but that's more the exception. Mostly they're very happy, being together and playing together. And that's what humans are, actually. A bunch of 5-year-olds that want to play. So we should play, and we should create the infrastructure and the ways we can play without depending on systems that are completely outdated. Democracy as we know it, like, obviously doesn't work. Voting every 4 years and then believing in some rando to change everything, and then on the end he doesn't even do what he said. I'm not sure that's a working system, I think what we need is alternative ways to govern ourselves and to function as a global society. And, hence why blockchain is a really very essential piece in that.
And UPs on the
And UP is a very essential piece in that. People also need to understand that it's not about one group of people, one company, or one, group of researchers now going to figure everything out, and the others are just like receivers. Blockchain and open source is all about building together. And that's literally what made blockchain and the web where it is. We focus a lot of time on the foundations, on building, initially the standards, and the initial tools. But from now on, it's about everyone building that, that future we want to see with blockchain. And it's about the things we don't know yet and the things we can't imagine yet. That's the exciting stuff to see. Because when you have the right foundations, they do not dictate where it goes. They just give possibilities. My focus on my work was to get that engine drain system into being. That was the real work that I had to do. And obviously with my team, I have an amazing team that has helped make all of this possible, as this is not a thing that a person can build, obviously. But that's now done. This has been the difficult part, I would say. From now on, it's just, again, hard is to invent the car. But once you have the 4 wheels and the plate, now we can build all the cool chassis, and all the cool different kind of versions of engines, and all the different kind of interiors. There's plenty of things we can do. What I would like to be remembered at is like the person who helped, contribute to an essential piece for humanity to allow a self-sovereign individual on a digital age.
And Luxo?
Would be a very useful, foundation to build a lot of cool apps, and I would like to build more of those. I would like to actually start building apps, now that the foundation is there. So it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of obvious things you can build, decentralized social media and all these things. But it gets very exciting when you get those network effects, and then people start to, really use this in their day-to-day life, and DAOs start to form, and new communities start to form that even then have physical presences, on different places in the globe. And you get this kind of alternative, network states, pretty much, living communities that literally use Luxo and profiles as their foundation to exist. That literally kind of will obsolete, the idea of the states as we know them, long term. Future is black. I mean, the team obviously changed over time, and it grew towards the end. And we really just have been full on building since the last 3 years, because the first years of a startup is always, raising the initial funds, setting everything up, and it's just so much, just getting stuff ready, building the early MVPs and everything. The interesting thing is that the people that, work right now in my team, and it was the same also with Ethereum, and it's also obviously was the same for me at Ethereum. This is the people who on and will be the experts. They will be the people who know the tech the best. I totally see Jean, for example, writing a book in the future. Probably the book of LSPs, the book of standards. He will write it, I'm pretty sure. There will be people who really they just know it. They have been working on it every day, and the smart contract team I have especially, they're literally deep down. But this is also true to everybody who's joining, in such a project, in such an early stage. They will be the ones that later, people want to hire. These are the people who know the tech, who understand the systems. And once more and more people catch on to how this works and why is this relevant, the more all these early people need it, and you see it the same like in Ethereum. Everybody who has been there in 2015, 16, 17, even 2018 is called an OG, They're the people with the deep knowledge, perceived,
Yeah.
And this is what it is on the end, if you really are a builder and you come early to a project, you will be the person who will be steering it, because this is an ecosystem. It's already an ecosystem. It has been an ecosystem since the start of the chain. It is fully decentralized, started, and everybody who will be contributing, everybody who will be building in this, will be the person who is the OG of the next blockchain with the actual evolution of standards.
Well, guys, I think we've learned so much about Luxo, about Fabian, in this amazing 3-part docu-series. I guess to wrap it up, where can we learn more about you? Where can we find more information about Luxo?
I mean, Luxo.network is the place. This will be the guiding post that you can go and find. You find the documentation, which is docs.luxo.tech. You can obviously go to Universal Profile Cloud and create a profile or any other app that runs on Luxo. It's all about learning, building or creating something, right? This is the 2-3 things that you can discover. And obviously you can follow Luxo_IO on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, which is @Findura. You can follow Universal Profile on Twitter, which is ER75 account. LSP Labs, it's all about diving into new. And thanks, Max, for taking the time and asking so much questions and guiding us around, and happy to show you around and had to chat.
No, I was a pleasure. Pleasure is mine. Thank you for taking the time, and we got to run this back in a year or two and see after Luxo's with multiple hubs around the world, and maybe a larger team and a whole lot of new Luxo community members part of the ecosystem. So pleasure.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.